Well, our relationship with America, known by some as a special relationship, but whether it is or not, it's an important relationship, has been under considerable strain over the last few months. The Biden decision unilaterally to withdraw catastrophically from Afghanistan without any reference to us or indeed other NATO members, and when Boris Johnson makes an urgent phone call for it not to get returned by the US president for nearly 40 hours, showed you that in many ways that relationship had been put into cold storage. Yet, out of the blue, towards the end of last week, we get the AUKUS deal, a very sensible deal. Australia, ourselves, and indeed the Americans, coming up with a 21st century solution for the Australian Navy, unlike the 20th century, outdated, overpriced and out of time solution that the French had put forward and about which they are now so angry. So Boris Johnson goes off to America with some bad news and some good news over the course of the last few months, but there's no question about what really mattered to him on this trip. In public, during the New York phase of this, it was all about climate change, of course, and he will feel that he's had something of a little victory because Joe Biden has agreed to pump more billions of dollars into a fund that gives money to poorer countries and helps them mitigate the amount of CO2 they produce every year. But what about the big stuff? What about the things that really, really matter? Well, yesterday Boris Johnson went into the Oval Office, and interestingly, it's the first time since he's been PM that he's been over to Washington, D.C., and here he is sitting with Joe Biden talking about what's been achieved.
It's great that the ban has been lifted on British beef, and the people of the United States of America can eat British beef. And
we're going to be working on lamb too.
And the lamb, we're working on the lamb, but to say nothing of the beef and the whiskey, which I already mentioned.
Well, the whiskey happened months ago, indeed 9 months ago. So I'm going to say this, Boris, where's the beef? Yes, you may be very happy that beef is not banned from US restaurants, or indeed lamb either. But that is a very, very tiny part of our trade with the USA and what really matters. And it's worth you, the audience at home, just thinking about this. The USA is the biggest foreign investor in the United Kingdom, and they're pumping tens of billions into current proposed takeover deals. We are still the biggest foreign investor in the USA. This relationship matters. And a trade deal would take down tariff and perhaps some other regulatory barriers just to make that whole process a bit easier. There is not going to be a trade deal. Biden was actually dismissive of it. And indeed, when it comes to the Northern Irish Protocol and the terrible stresses and strains that's putting on the unity of the United Kingdom, again, Biden won't budge because he is basically the EU's man. Now, I have to say, that whole press conference was a complete shambles. There they were, with big, thick face masks. I mean, at times, it was almost inaudible. The American president appears to be completely incapable of delivering sentences without the whole thing being written in longhand, and he read it off his knee. And when Boris Johnson suggested a few questions from the press corps, Biden's aides were doing everything they could to stop questions, because despite the fact that Biden is democratically elected, he doesn't think he needs to be held to account by anybody. It was completely and utterly shambolic. But from Boris Johnson's point of view, I think he left pretty empty-handed. And then today, just before Johnson boards the flight to come back to the United Kingdom, we get the stab in the back. And the stab in the back is Biden's announced a new strategic partnership with the European Union to deal and work together on vaccines going forward. So I've never been in any doubt at all that Biden would take the line that was taken by Obama in that famous speech he made here during the referendum. We are indeed, under this Democrat Biden-led administration, very much at the back of the queue. And I think this is going to be quite a significant disappointment for the Prime Minister. But I have to say, at the end of the day, it's not really Biden I blame, because Biden has never liked the United Kingdom, and I've told people that for ages and ages. Trump, whatever you think of him, does like the United Kingdom. We could have done a trade deal at any point in time during those 4 years of the Trump administration. Indeed, I was in Trump Tower on the 11th of November 2016, just 2 days after the result had come through from the presidential election, and his top aides were all saying, this is terrific, we can strike a trade deal between our two countries. They really wanted to do it, but I'm afraid that the Conservative government dropped the ball with Theresa May as Prime Minister, and by the time Brexit was done, by the time we were free to do a trade deal, it was all too late. So I think it's a big disappointment, but please, am I being too harsh? Let me know what you think. Get in touch with me, gbviews@gbnews.uk.